All right, Hazel, thank you so much for meeting with me today. I know that time is crunched all the time, so I really value your time and appreciate you taking out this bit of time to talk to me.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm looking
Um,
forward to it.
Yay! So we
Mhm.
only have about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So in this 15 minutes, I really would like to talk about whatever it is you feel necessary right now and kind of go through it and talk about your next steps, kind of establish these things. How does that feel for you?
That sounds great.
Okay. So, in order to honor our time and really dig in and utilize this 15 minutes, what is something that you would like to talk about?
I think one thing that I am finding challenging right now is um, completing the task that I've set on my calendar to do versus the tasks that I really want to do, like the tasks that I find enjoyable. Um, I think in our role, we always have something to do, so it's easy for me to find a replacement task that's of equal importance, or in my head, of equal importance than doing what I don't really want to do
Mm-hmm.
or that I don't find enjoyable. And
Okay.
so I think that's where my struggle is, just staying focused and staying motivated to do what I set down, what I put on my calendar to do.
Okay. Tell me a little bit more about that. Give me, or
Sure.
even an example of what you mean.
Okay, so my favorite is not
Mm-hmm.
one of my not favorite tasks is creating Canvas courses.
Mm-hmm.
And so I find myself struggling with um, staying on task, or um, sometimes even just paying too much, taking too much time on one section because it's not something I enjoy. And so that would be probably like my biggest challenge, is focusing on creating a Canvas course from beginning to end in a timely manner.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I find lots of distractions, like joyfully. I like the distractions just because I don't like doing it. So
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Before I start, I just want to make sure, is it okay if I jot down some notes?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, just to kind of think back of what you're saying, you said that you would like some help with um, completing the tasks that are at hand, right? The ones that you actually put on your calendar that you know you need to do,
Yeah.
rather than completing the tasks that you feel are equal important, but maybe not the things you should be attending to right now. Does that sound correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Because what usually happens is I'll get it done,
Mhm.
but it'll be last minute because I've put it off, or I've allowed other things to come in front of it, or to distract me. And so even though it's completed,
Mhm.
it was. I sometimes I feel rushed at the end because
Mm.
I'm just trying to get it done because I didn't utilize the time that I set aside for
Yeah.
it.
Okay. Okay. One of the examples you used is the Canvas course that you have to complete. Can you tell me a little bit more about the Canvas course?
Sure. So after each of our sessions that we facilitate, we also provide our participants with a Canvas course if they were unable to attend.
Oh, okay.
So this Canvas course really encapsulates the learning that they would have received if they would have came in person. So it's really important for those who missed, to have like a comprehensive course that has all the information, but it also has to include like some of the engagement that they might have encountered
Okay.
in the face-to-face session. And so that's basically what the Canvas course is.
Okay. Thank you for explaining that. So, thinking about that Canvas course, and I'm just
Mhm.
using that because that's the example you
Sure.
provided. But thinking about that Canvas course, what about it makes you sometimes want to kind of walk away from that and go to your distractors, right? The other tasks that you are more willing to complete than the Canvas course.
That's a great question, and I've thought about that a lot. And I really think it's when I don't know the content very well that I'm creating, because we don't create the sessions. We do help train, or we facilitate the training
Mm-hmm.
of the sessions, but we don't train them, or we're not the ones who facilitate them, and we're not the ones who create them. So sometimes there's a gap in my own knowledge and what I'm supposed to create the Canvas course over, or the content that's supposed to be in the Canvas course. So having to go back and look at the research, or going back and look at my own notes. I mean, it can be done. I've done it. I mean, that's what I've been doing, but it's just not something I enjoy
Absolutely.
doing. It takes time. So.
And we've got to figure out the way to put that joy into that work, right? Because that's something that you seem to have to do. Is this something you have to do every time?
Every time.
Just in case, right?
Yes. And actually, you know what? Now that I think of it, I think part of it is also the fear of not getting all the information that in the Canvas course that they need. So almost like myself feeling or looking incompetent in front of, but to the participants of the Canvas course, which may not even be the case, but maybe it's just my own self-perception of how it would look how I would look if I put wrong information down, or if I created like a module that didn't make sense or anything like that.
Wow. That's really a big deal, Hazel, that you pointed that out, because what I've heard you say is, that sometimes you don't feel that comfortable because you may not know the content because somebody else is creating it, right?
Right.
And then also that there are a couple of steps to complete it, because you may need to look back at a session, a presentation, or, flip back to different resources to complete this Canvas course. Am I correct?
Yes. Yeah.
But one powerful statement you just said is the fear of missing information because of the perception you might give to the participants that you don't know all the content. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And you just came to that, but that's a big thing, because what that makes me see is that you really do value the participants, right? And you want them to not only receive the information, but know that they're being led by someone who is competent and knows the information, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So that's really, really amazing, and I just want to tell you that that's awesome, okay?
Thanks.
Because you really do take that so seriously.
Okay, thank you.
So we have about 10 minutes left.
Okay.
And what I'd like to do now is kind of move you to thinking about how we can move your thought process of the different steps, or not knowing the content. How can we move that to making you more comfortable with knowing the content, or putting this Canvas course together because you feel more confident about the content? What is some steps you think you could make to do that?
Well, I think for me, okay, so one of the obvious ones would be to just really go through the course, or go through, sit in the session, or go through the session, or go through the whatever it is, the Google Slides that I'm using to create the course, and learn it myself. And eventually, I mean, that's what I end up doing anyway, but it's just really time consuming. So I think for me, like I try to find shortcuts around that. But I think for me to really create a course that where the content is what it's supposed to be, I do have to know the material. So that, I think that's an option. Another option would probably be making sure that I finish it in enough time to give to others who also know the content to review. And that's always the intent. But like I said before, I find things to distract me that also need to be done. So most times I'm finishing the Canvas course right up along deadline, and I do end up giving it to someone. However, I know they don't have as much time as they probably need to review it. What else? I think, those are probably two good options.
Okay.
Or two things that.
So just to review what you said, you basically said you know exactly what you need to do, right? Like maybe sitting in a session, reviewing the session that has been, or the presentation that's been presented to you, but you know that's time consuming. We know that in this work and education period, time is always crazy, right? We don't have much of it. But you know that's really time consuming, so sometimes you try to find whatever shortcut. Is that correct? You said something interesting. You said give to others who know the content. Are you talking about like the completed Canvas course, letting them review it? Okay. So my connection here is, I know at first you said that sometimes you feel rushed and you do it last minute, right? And I kind of saw your body movement when you were talking about giving it to someone else, because you were like, kind of putting that connection, like I do it last minute, so I don't give them.
I don't give them a lot of time to review it.
Right. How would you feel? Could you set up maybe some type of scheduling, so whenever you put it on your schedule to work on the Canvas course, do you also put on your schedule like when you would like to have it done by?
So what I currently do is I used to do that, to where I just have a block of time set, like these number of hours are set for this Canvas course, and it's due by this date. And that didn't work for me. So I started doing it by modules. Like, okay, you're going to complete modules 2 through, or actually by slides. So you're going to transfer the content from slides, like 1 through 20, within this time, like in the morning, and then 21 through 40 in the afternoon. And that seemed to work a little bit better. But when you said that, it made me think maybe I should be scheduling also time in my calendar of, okay, this is my review time, like kind of like a feedback loop, right? So if I know that I want to have the last look on it, if there's any revisions, then I need to schedule in that feedback loop for whoever it is I'm giving it to. That way I have an extra deadline. Yeah. I'm just moving up my deadline a little bit more. But I think too, because I do procrastinate on this, I've learned to work well under pressure.
Well, it's a good thing.
My perception is that I've learned to work well under pressure, so that I know that, okay, I have to have this done by this time, because someone else is going to be looking at it. So that might also help me.
Yeah, definitely. I think that anytime you add another set of eyes, maybe even 2 set or 3, that just kind of amps you up, like, okay, I need to get this done on time, and it needs to be,
Yeah, because I don't want to look like a fool.
Exactly. Okay, so just to kind of talk about what you just said, Hazel, you just came up with a plan, okay? So you already use Outlook to calendar when you are going to work on transferring information slide by slide, but also adding in maybe pushing up the date of when you need to have it complete, and then adding the date of when you want whomever to review it. So that would give you more time, or a more concise time of when you need to get it done. And then also, I'm wondering, or I believe, that if we make that time shorter, then it will allow you to see, like, oh, I cannot move over to this distraction because I don't have time.
Right.
So maybe it will eliminate that as well. How do you feel about that, that kind of task for your next step?
I feel good about that. I think really adding the time for the feedback loop, at least make sure that it's like front and center on my calendar, since I do use it a lot, that, okay, look, like someone's, and maybe even inviting the person to that time on there, so that I know that, okay, it's not just me who knows about it, somebody else knows, or the person who I'll be handing it over will know, and that's like another point of accountability.
Absolutely.
For myself. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan.
Oh, that's great. So Hazel, we have about 3 minutes left.
Okay.
So could you recap for me kind of what we've talked about today and your next steps?
Yeah. So we talked about the challenge I have of staying on task, or my self-imposed staying on task with creating the Canvas courses that we have for after our face-to-face sessions. And one of the things that we came up with, or that we talked about, was because I know that I use my Outlook calendar, and I know like one of the options I have is to give it to someone else to look at, is include that feedback loop on my calendar, so it's not just okay, well, whenever I get a chance, I'll hand it to them. That it's actually set on there, and I'll be inviting them to that week or whatever, however many days I think, and maybe even asking them, how much time do you think you need to review this? So I'm honoring their time, so that I know, okay, I can kind of plan backwards. If I know I need to have the completed product by this day, and they need this many days, then I need to have it done by this day. And so that gives me a more complete, or more a better or an accurate picture of when do I really need to have this complete.
Right.
And so even though my deadline will be moved up some, I think that still helps me with staying more focused, because I know that, okay, it's crunch time.
It's crunch time.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so now that you've talked through that, how does that feel? Does that feel like something that you can do the next time around when you have to complete like a Canvas course or any other project?
I think so. Definitely. I mean, I've always had a feedback loop, but just knowing now, okay, you know what, I should probably add it to my calendar. That really helps me just be more accurate with how much time I have on something, so that I'm not continually pushing it back because I think I have more time.
Great.
When really I don't have.
Okay.
No, time is up. So yeah.
Okay. Great. So we have agreed to the next step. Okay.
Yes.
So next time when we meet, I can't wait to hear about how that went.
Okay.
So I'll reach out to you and we can figure out a date for the next time. We have about 30 seconds. I really want to honor your time.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you feel you need to talk about, or like, would you like any more time, or is that basically it?
No, I think this is good. I can't wait to tell you that, hey, I finished my Canvas course on time, and I got it back on time, and
Good.
Everything went well. So,
Well, great. Well, thank you again, Hazel, for taking this time out to talk to me. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you've seen some benefit in this conversation. I'm sorry it couldn't be longer than 15 minutes, but I feel like you did a great job moving through this.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you for your help.
Yes, no problem.